Okay, here we go, converting the other way from component form to magnitude and direction. So here we have a vector with components minus 4i hat, minus 3j hat. And we want to know what is its magnitude and direction. So you can use the Cartesian coordinate system and you can count back minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4 steps, and then minus 1, minus 2, minus 3 in the y-axis, and you'd have a vector that looks something a bit like this, going from the origin to minus 4 in the x and minus 3 in the y. Okay, finding the magnitude is simple because that is just a right triangle. And if you know the two sides of a right triangle, then you know the distance formula will apply. So you can take the square root of the x component squared plus the y component squared, and that gives you magnitude. All right, so in this case, we have the square root of 4 squared plus 3 squared. Why did I not bother writing the signs? Well, they're inside of the square, so it's really minus 4, the whole thing squared, minus 3, the whole thing squared, minus 1 squares to just be 1. So we don't care about the sign in the end. And that's going to give us the square root of 16 plus 9, which is the square root of 25, which is 5. That's the magnitude part. Direction. To find the reference angle, you do the inverse tangent of the y component over the x component. But this will give you the reference angle. We need to be careful about how we think about that. So let's first find that reference angle. Theta is, oops, I forgot the inverse symbol. Inverse tangent of, that's going to be minus 3 over minus 4. So inverse tangent of 0.75, which is 36.86, well, 87, I would say, degrees. I don't want to write all the digits in the calculator out. It actually goes on a long time before you'd hit a 0. Okay, but what does that really mean? Well, it is the angle inside of our little triangle relative to this x-axis. That is the angle you find. There are several different ways you can now state the direction here. You can say this is 5 units at 36.87 degrees south of east. That would be fair. Kind of the fun one to do is if you add 180 degrees, you'd get it from the positive x-axis, and that would simply be 5 units at 216.87 degrees. Either of those would be acceptable, and in fact, there are several different ways you could state this. You could find the complement of 36.87, and then you could say that it is, what's that going to be, 53.13? Yeah, 53.13 degrees east of south. That also works. So there are many different ways you could state it. Either of these would be good choices. 5 units at 36.87 degrees south of east, or just 5 units at 216.87 degrees, and that would be relative to the positive x direction or east. Okay, we're going to stop it there.